As the character with the lowest health in the game, Bridget tends to be a bit of a niche pick in Guilty Gear Accent Core XX+R. While Bridget suffers from squishiness, he makes up for it in mobility. His unique yo-yo mechanics allow him to both control the screen and zoom across it on a whim. As a result, most tournament Bridgets you'll see play a runaway style. Most Bridgets. Today, I sit down with Mahouko, who is absolutely nothing like that at all. One of the most successful tournament Bridgets to ever do it, Mahouko is about as aggro as they come. His unique approach to Bridget's kit involves creating immense pressure and firing across the screen straight into danger. His creativity and mind games are limited only by his yo-yo strings, and today Mahouko gives us a glimpse into his approach to the childish but deadly Bridget. What's up y'all, KRCPinto here. Today I'm hanging out with Mahouko. You might know him as the Guilty Gear Accent Core+R player who has played in tournament with a $5 Dragon Ball stick. If you've never seen him play, you're missing out. This guy is a Bridget master. How you doing today, Mahouko?
Doing fine. Glad to be part of this.
Hey, stoked to have you here. And stoked to talk about this character. You know, Bridget, known as kind of like a keepaway character, has a lot of screen control. You play him really aggressively, different kind of style. So really looking forward to diving into that and how you make that work. If you're ready, we can just go ahead and get started. You ready to roll?
Yep, let's do this.
All right, let's do it. So the thing I want to talk about first, I think this is an important thing when we're talking about Guilty Gear characters. Every character in this game has kind of like a gimmick or like a personal resource that other characters don't have. Bridget's would be the yo-yo. Can you just like introduce the concept of the yo-yo, how it works, and what it's for?
So the yo-yo is pretty much Bridget's most important tool because this move is pretty much Bridget's special that's locked to Bridget's normal move. So like regular characters like Sol and Kai, they would have a regular heavy slash button, which usually does good damage and stuff like that. But yo-yos is for Bridget, the yo-yo is the heavy slash button. So Bridget, when you look at it, kind of loses out on like one of the attack options because other characters would get like a jump heavy, crouching heavy and stuff like that, but Bridget is always just a yo-yo. What's really cool about the yo-yo though is it also gives access to Roger, Bridget's bear, and this is what makes Bridget really terrifying, is utilizing positions of the yo-yo and Roger moves, sandwiching the opponent between Bridget and the bear.
You can position the yo-yo in like a bazillion different places. Is it a position for every direction of the D-pad?
So when you're airborne, you could do the 8 directions and neutral as well. But when you're on the floor, you have access to forward set, which is what it looks like right there. Back set, which Bridget will throw the yo-yo on the floor and it'll roll towards the opponent at a set distance. Then you could throw it directly upwards, angled like that, going towards the opponent. And then there's the one where Bridget can throw it behind himself. And this one will travel pretty much the entire screen, as you could see. That one isn't too popular with people due to how long it takes, but I actually really like that set a lot.
Yeah, that one looks tricky. Like, I feel like I wouldn't see that coming. So, and then if you set the yo-yo one time, how can you reset it? Do you have to call it back or can you just freely reset it?
So Bridget does have to call the yo-yo back in order to reposition it. However, new to +R, Bridget can actually stop the yo-yo as it's coming back only from yo-yo recall though. So yo-yo recall looks like this, where you'll kind of see like the blaze of fire traveling with the yo-yo. In this game, Bridget could actually press heavy slash again and you could stop the momentum of the yo-yo and make it stand right there. So that's actually very useful because you could get pretty much multiple uses out of a single yo-yo recall. So for example, like let's say normally I would just recall the yo-yo now and then that's it. It would be done and over with. But in this game, I could yo-yo recall, position it right there. So not only did I hit the opponent, I managed to move the yo-yo into a new position, which I could use for later use.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's some tricky screen control. That's a lot of options available there. Let's talk about your preferences for the character a little bit. So, you know, Guilty Gear, there's a lot of moves in these games. What's your favorite move of Bridget's and why? It can be a normal, special, super, just whatever you like to throw out the most in a game.
So for people who watch me, they definitely know I like to use this move a lot. That move, I particularly love it just for the name, because the name of that move is Kickstart My Heart. And I'm like, that is such a good move name.
Love it.
No relation to the band or the song Kickstart My Heart. Yeah, but that move, I use it a lot because it's just it's a moving hitbox, and you could adjust the speed of it. Funny enough, so you could go like top speed, you could go really slow, or like normal. In terms of supers though, I love this one. Me and my killing machine. People will see I use that super quite often. Yeah, though I would probably say those are my two favorite moves. Kickstart My Heart. It on hit, it gives you a lot of choices. So in this case, it's like you could do the launcher, which will send the opponent flying, or you could do the slide, which has a pretty long hitbox and it'll knock down the opponent. People who see me play notice I like to do the launch version a lot because that allows Bridget to do a yo-yo set afterwards. So it's like not only do I get a knockdown, I get an airborne yo-yo set, which I could use to like further pressure the opponent as well.
That has mad corner carry too, doesn't it?
Yep. And in this case, due to my like personal preference of Bridget playstyle, I want my opponent in the corner a lot, and as you can see, that kind of sends them really far.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a lot.
So I could be like on one end of the screen and launch them, and they're already a little more than halfway.
Okay. For that super you showed, my killing machine. Is it me and my killing machine?
Yeah, me and my killing machine. Mm-hmm.
So that super that tracks, right?
So the way that super works, there's two versions of it. There's a half circle back version, which pretty much activates instantly. It only does 6 hits, and it pretty much stays stationary wherever the yo-yo is at. While the normal version, half circle forward, when you do it, it follows Bridget. It goes to where Bridget is.
Gotcha. Okay, I've seen you use that in a couple matches, and I thought it was tracking them, but that makes sense that it's following you, and you were just like,
yeah, and since like people are in the corner where I like them. So like I'll usually be in like a situation like this, so I'll just go and I'll activate it, and it's like, the bear's right here though.
Jeez, that's brutal. Can you set up like unblockables with that or anything?
Not necessarily unblockables, because Bridget only gets the unblockable setup when Roger's doing the belly flop attack. Right there, Roger slide, I think that's what it's called. But yeah, you get the unblockable from that move. When me and my killing machine is out, Roger's too busy riding his bicycle, so
it's too busy. Roger's such a homie. I love Roger.
Yo, Roger's he's the best. He's the best.
Let's talk about matchups you do and don't like. Bridget, a lot of screen control, but kind of low health. So is there any like particularly bad matchup for him?
Definitely. Bridget on the matchup spread actually doesn't have really too many like crazy good matchups. Definitely any character with explosive power, I don't like to fight. And in this one in particular, I think Jam is probably one of Bridget's worst matchups, because that character has mobility and can explode on you, which is the worst. Another type of character that's really bad, actually, yeah, high mobile characters that could contest Bridget are also pretty bad. So characters like Chip and Milia are very, very tough for Bridget as well.
Okay. Do you have like any favorite matchups that you think you just like, you personally just kind of outright win?
That I personally outright win. I don't think I've lost to Potemkin in tournament ever. Although so that matchup is one of Bridget's solid matchups. It's a personal matchup for me. I don't like that matchup because I don't like playing rock paper scissors against grapplers, and all it takes for Potemkin is like one good guess, and it could spell the end of Bridget. And I usually don't like characters like that. Testament. I actually really like fighting Testament. I've been fighting that character for like 10 years already, 10 plus years. So I think I've just gotten so familiar with that matchup that I really like it.
You're the only person I've ever heard say that sentence.
Yeah, it's because the thing is, so while it is Testament favor, Bridget does have tools to deal with Testament traps, which is what a lot of characters struggle with.
Makes
So
sense. Does
I think
Roger
Bridget,
kill them?
no, so it's more so due to the nature of Testament's traps. So like for example, web, right? Web will activate if like a hitbox goes through it. So Bridget, air normals like this, like jump slash, jump P, they could actually expose the webs. If you pay attention to where he's placing them, you could kind of just toss out these normals and it'll activate the trap. And when Bridget does yo-yo recall as well, that could activate the web traps as well. So Bridget does have tools dealing with the web traps, and when it comes to the tree trap activates when you're vertically within the spot where Testament places the tree. So if you play kind of like an air mobility Bridget, you could do something as simple as this, and you'll activate all the traps.
Let's talk about Bridget's neutral. So Bridget in the neutral, a lot of people play like a keepaway Bridget. You play a little more aggro. How do you approach Bridget's neutral game? What's your goal for closing the gap?
So usually for me, I just definitely want yo-yo out, like no matter what. Because the moment yo-yo's out, then the opponent does have to take yo-yo into consideration. So now it's they have to deal with raw yo-yo recalls. And if they get hit by Roger as well, the moment they get touched by Roger, that's my get in. And I will straight up run. I will do stuff like that. I will run across the screen just to get into the opponent's face. For Bridget though, definitely people are gonna use this button, far slash, a lot. This is like one of Bridget's best buttons. But you have to hit with it though, because if you don't hit with it, Bridget can't really like cancel into anything. So, and the recovery is kind of long. So, but yeah, people will definitely be going into this move a lot. 2P, this move, it cancels into itself. It cancels into a 2 kick. So you'll see a lot of times that people will want to use 2P because you can see the range as well. So even if they block, nothing really bad will happen to you because it's hard to punish. Me, unfortunately, I like to use 2 kick a lot because this is one of Bridget's only low moves, and I want people to actually block this move because for example, characters like Jam, right? So going back to Jam has like a parry, and that move parries mids, right? 2P unfortunately is not a low, it's a mid. So Jam could parry that and just murder me. So in this case, I have to use 2 kick anyway because Jam can't parry it. So Jam will probably have to block it regardless. That, and when you 2 kick, you're in pretty good throw range. So yeah, and you know, throwing is very good for Bridget because it allows Bridget to tick throw and stuff like that, and then you could just set your yo-yos for further mix-ups.
You said that when you get a Roger hit, that's when you're able to sprint in. Do you have a particular Roger summon for neutral that you lean towards?
I kind of like. Oh, actually, not kind of. I use it quite often. I use this move, Roger Hug. That's the one where the yo-yo locks onto you. So I really like that move a lot because it forces the opponent to move. Because if they don't move and they get hit by it, Roger gets locked on. And when Roger's locked on, whatever I do, Roger is going to appear on the yo-yo seal. So as you see him spinning right now, so I could just activate and he's right there. So Roger Hug forces movement, which is what I want them to do, because usually from what I gather, people, when they don't want to get hit by something, especially Roger Hug, they're going to jump. And when they jump, I just snipe them with 6S.
Oh my god. That is an insane move.
Yeah, this move right here. This move, not the greatest in neutral due to the super long recovery and it whiffing on a lot of the cast due to not being tall enough. Johnny gets hit though. He's tall enough. But the thing is that when you do Roger Hug, people, from in my experience, they like to jump. And I want people airborne anyway because that gives them less options. And when they try to like either like air dash at me or come in, you could 6P them, which is very good anti-air. You could 6S them to snipe them. And if they don't jump and they get hit by Roger Hug, well, Roger's on them now. So now they have to be super careful because then I could activate a Roger move that they have to worry about.
Let's go back to your favorite move here, the roller skate move. Do you find yourself using that in neutral to like catch people off guard?
Oh, absolutely. I will. There have been many a times in like matches and tournament matches where you'll see a situation like this. I do this and they get hit because it's quite fast, and sometimes people are kind of just moving around dancing, and then they just get hit by a full rush from an entire screen away, and they're like, why did he do that? That was the dumbest thing, but why did it work? So I like that kind of stuff.
Does Bridget get to do the Rekka follow-ups on whiff, or is it only on
I could do stuff like that.
Nice, man, that's kind of crazy. It seems like Bridget has a really strong neutral game, is what I'm gathering, between the giant buttons and the screen control here.
Bridget's greatest strength is mobility and controlling space like this. So as I was saying before, like you have the many different types of play styles for Bridget. So if you like to do this kind of like keep away style, just throwing the yo-yo out like right over here, even if Bridget doesn't have like an immediate threat, because I can't exactly hit you unless I commit to the yo-yo. This already, like, it makes the opponent think. It's like, do they want to just sit there? They kind of want to come in, especially if they don't have tools to like hit me from far away. But when they do that, that's when Bridget could like do stuff like anti-air or just further run away, and they're just getting hit because they're trying to chase Bridget, who's very slippery. So
let's talk about the runaway thing a little bit. I know this isn't necessarily your style, but Bridget does have a move that lets him just like really move through the air kind of crazy. What is that? Yeah, the spin.
Yeah, so that move will pretty much gravitate Bridget wherever the yo-yo is at. So what people like to do when they play kind of like runaway Bridget is they'll throw the yo-yo really high up and they'll just keep flying.
Avoid all projectiles.
Yeah, and that's usually the cases when people get hit, because they're kind of like, they get jittery, they don't want to stay on the floor, and they're just trying to catch Bridget. But because they're trying to catch Bridget, they usually just end up hitting by like one of like the yo-yo recall moves that are happening as Bridget's landing. So, and even if they do touch Bridget, it's not a good they usually won't get like a solid conversion. So even if they do damage Bridget, it's usually kind of like small amount. It won't be like a crazy big damage, crazy big combo or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, knowing how to use the roll is definitely very important for Bridget.
Do you find yourself using that much? I feel like that's not really your go-to style, but like, are there any matchups where you particularly roll around a lot?
Well, I do roll. I just don't roll to run away. I use roll for offensive purposes. So stuff like this, for example, like when the yo-yo's kind of at that downward angle, it lets Bridget do a roll into an overhead, like just like that. So even if they're crouching, they're gonna get hit. So that kind of puts the opponent in a situation where it's like they do have to look for the roll now, because I could hit either low or high on them. So Bridget does have a mix up with that. In terms of just specifically where I kind of like want to abuse runaway though, I guess characters like Justice kind of has a very difficult time hitting. Like the moment Bridget super jumps and does that, like that kind of invalidates like every single one of Justice's missiles. So also against Testament, going back to what I was saying before, where you could just roll and get rid of trees just like that. Yeah, let's see. 2D Bridget's trip. I think it's very important to know this move, because Bridget's one of the few characters where you don't need to really know FRCs for. But if you did need to know FRCs for this character, there would be two in particular, which would be Starship FRC, which is the DP right there, and this move, 2D. Those are very important FRCs. And I guess in neutral, Starship's very good. This move, what people could do a lot, they could do silly stuff where they just kind of like roll. They'll rolls do that. So it's like Bridget rolls to them, does a yo-yo recall, and then just does a DP, which makes Bridget invincible. So you're kind of just screwed if you try to approach Bridget like that.
Why is the 2D FRC important? Is there a specific use for that makes it crucial?
So 2D FRC pretty much lets you set up unblockables as well. And it also, when you're trying to pressure an opponent, it's one of the few moves that has enough hit stun and due to the FRC where Bridget can actually continue pressure. Because all the other moves, like if you try to like RC, like there's not enough time to do anything with it, so you're just wasting meter. But with 2D, the moment you get them blocking, you do 2D FRC, which is only 25 meter, and you could use that to either run away, continue pressure, or even just set another yo-yo.
All right, this is gonna be the fun one. So let's talk about Bridget's pressure and mix-up. This is where I feel like your Bridget in particular really excels. I'm gonna let you take it. I'm not gonna ask any deep questions. Go to town. How do you mix up people and apply pressure with Bridget in your games?
So I have a very different take from a lot of people. Very, very different take on like offensive structure in this game. So the thing is with Bridget, you need, which sounds counterproductive, right? You need holes in Bridget's offense in order for Bridget to be successful. So other characters, like take for example, let's say like Eddie or Milia, when they do their offense, there's no holes. You're getting high load forever, and you kind of just have to sustain blocking and finding the right time to get out. But with Bridget, for my Bridget pressure, I want to give the opponent options, which sounds silly, right? So the thing is though, is when you give, at least from my point of view, when you give an opponent options, that lets you actually get a hit in, because then it's like, yeah, I'm looking for that specific option that they want to do, and I'm gonna do something specifically to beat said option. But the only way they'll allow I get that opportunity though is if there are holes in my pressure. And then at that point, then they start to second guess themselves, and then that gives me even more options to deal with. And just another thing, it's you have to, in order for Bridget offense to work as well, you have to really get them scared of Roger. If they're not scared of Roger, then the pressure won't work. Because even though Roger is scary, like you do like Punch Bear, for example, certain characters can flat out just like punch him. Like they could deny it. Like Razor Bear over here, not really, you don't really get too much damage off of him either. But the one good part about Razor Bear is he does cover that area where if they get up, they're forced to block. Another thing, the reason why I like offensive pressure with Bridget a lot is Guilty Gear is a game that really wants you to use meter, right? So the thing is though, is when Bridget's run away, so you if you notice, you see how when I do the regular roll, there's no flawless defense aura, right?
Right.
So the thing is, in order for Bridget to pop upwards, you have to spend meter. You have to spend flawless defense meter. Just like that. So you notice how the difference, I'm no longer rolling towards the yo-yo, I just pop upwards.
Are you doing roll and then immediately doing a flawless defense?
And you do flawless defense, yep.
Okay.
So you get that pop-up animation. But every time you do that, which Bridget's will do a lot, they're losing meter quite frequently. And if they're running away, are you aware of the attention pulse system in this game?
Yeah, in that where when you run away too much, it gives you like the negative penalty.
Yeah. So you see how like I'm danger right now and my like bar was like very gray?
Right.
Yeah, well, not gray, like it was darkened. Yeah, so when your tension pulse is low, when you do like your offensive actions, you actually don't get a lot of meter. Even if you're doing like, even with offensive actions, your meter gain is stunted. But so now, like let's say like I'm running to the opponent all the time, you kind of see how like my bar is like shining a bit more now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that means that when I do my offensive action, I'm actually getting more meter. If you're running away though, you're spending meter to run away and you're killing your tension gain. But if you're playing offensively, you get rewarded because you're getting more meter, and that allows Bridget to do more stuff like this, where you kind of just throw the bear on them and they get mauled. So that's why I personally, that's like that's one of the reasons why I play offensive Bridget, is because you get rewarded for doing offensive play through your meter. And Bridget, isn't really scary without meter. I mean, that goes for a lot of characters. But Bridget with like 50 meter, it's like, oh shit, I have to deal with force break bear. I have to deal with the bear on a bicycle, and the bear on the bicycle is what really is scary for a lot of players, because this, when you're on the offense, it's really hard to see what Bridget's doing. So then you could get high-low mix-up, and that's lets me, if I have 100 meter, like I'll get a knockdown and I'm just gonna do it again. So yeah, and the other reason is people like offensive play, and yeah, it's a lot funner to show people that you're getting mauled by Bridget than timing people out for 99 seconds.
Yeah, 100%. So you've got meter. What do you have certain Roger summons that are particularly good in pressure, similar to like, you know, you had ones that you like for neutral? Is there a Roger summon that really lets you get going here?
So pretty much what usually will end up happening is if you're in like the corner like this, I usually like to try ending my combos with KRCPinto, so then I could do the airborne Roger set into Roger punch, like right there. So it's like the moment you get up, you have to block Roger. If you don't block Roger, you're getting punched in the face, and when you get hit by Roger Rush, that is one of Bridget's like stronger starting moves. So then when you do the combo, you actually do more damage as well. Also, I guess in the corner, I do like to do this a lot, like kickstart my hard break, because people like to mash, and that move when they mash, it kind of just like it'll smack them in the face due to its range, and then I get another knockdown. For offensive as well, if they're like right in the corner and you have a Roger, kind of like the yo-yo that's like right there, what I like to do a lot is I'll trip and do force break. If I have meter, force break Roger punch, because this move keeps them in block stun for like forever, and you definitely don't want to get hit by that move as well. If I have 50 meter, I'm 100% going for this. I'm 100% gonna go for the bear on the bicycle, me and my killing machine, because that just lets me continue my pressure even further. And when you do overdrives in this game, you actually don't get stunted on your tension gain. So one of the mechanics of this game is that when you do stuff like a force break and like a Roman cancel, you actually kind of momentarily stun your tension meter. So you don't really get a lot of meter until like a certain amount of time has passed. But when you do overdrives, it doesn't do that. So if you have a high tension rate, you're still gonna get meter for like doing your offensive actions. So then that just gives me more fuel to do more like FRCs, force breaks, or my super. For neutral though, definitely this Roger force break, because he Roger flies at the opponent. He homing missiles them, and he eats 5 hits. So even if you try to like contest with like a projectile, he's just gonna tear through it. And he definitely just wants blood, as you could see.
I didn't know too much about Bridget going into this. I knew about the yo-yo mechanic. I knew who Roger was. I knew generally what Bridget could do. But I was reading earlier on Dust Loop. I went and read some more specific stuff to see if there was anything I wanted to ask about. And so since the yo-yo is tied to the heavy button, I was reading something about how Bridget's grab is like easier to do, or like preferable in some situations than some other characters because of the way his heavy button is. Do you find that like you get good grab pressure on people? Because I did notice you grabbed me a bunch while we were playing.
Yeah, so on the floor, not as much, but airborne, due to air throws usually having a high like a farther throw range, I could like throw like, so you see how yo-yo's kind of like all the way back up there, right?
Right.
So it's like if I'm right here, if I do like a forward yo-yo recall, I'm gonna throw the opponent. And if they're in a situation where they won't be thrown, it just does yo-yo recall anyway. But the moment yo-yo is coming back, I could just throw you, because there's no animation, there's no like further animation after yo-yo recall. But because yo-yo's coming back, Bridget cannot throw a yo-yo. but that still allows Bridget to throw the opponent. So you could straight up just mash throw. Like I'm mashing throw right. Oh, actually, well, yeah, like that. Kind of just mashing throw. And when you do that airborne, you just kind of throw the opponents too. So that's why a lot of cases you do see Bridget's having a relatively high throw rate, because they could kind of just like press throw and no animation will come out. So even if it misses, they could just press it again and they'll just throw the opponent.
You brought up the unblockable setup a few times. Can you show us the unblockable setup and explain how it works?
So how it works is you want the yo-yo at a height where where Roger will actually perform the slide. Because if you do it at a low height, Roger won't do the slide. And the way the unblockable works is when Roger does the slide right there, that hits low, so then Bridget just kind of jumps in and hits high. So the way like the unblockable setup would work, like right over here, you do that, and right at that moment, Roger hits them, keeps them in block stun, and then he'll slide. I do the high, and then you get the unblockable. It doesn't do too much damage, but it is damage nonetheless. So
there's no follow-up from it. Is it just a knockdown from there?
So you could do like stuff into like air combo. So it's like bam. But you know, I'm bad at combos today.
No worries.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Oh, also speaking of offense, I love this move, 6 kick. This move, people definitely be getting hit by this move.
What do you like about it?
So one, it's an overhead, so people block low and I hit them. Another thing is it's in this game, it's much better for the fact that it's special cancelable. So pretty much Bridget could go into Kickstart My Heart. And when you get like the overhead hit, you just go into Kickstart My Heart and you bring them wherever you want. And in the corner too, that just leads to even more pressure, because going back, you just do the raw neutral set into Punch Bear.
Jeez.
It also has the FRC point. So if you don't want to like go into Kickstart My Heart, because that does leave you vulnerable, you could just Roman cancel it, FRC, and you can make it safe as well. So I really like 6 kick a lot.
Okay. Yeah, that's an ambiguous overhead. It looks like it'd be a low from where he finishes. Anything else you want to touch on for pressure and mix up?
Let's see. Tick throws are important.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, tick throws are definitely important. And that's why I like what do you call it? That's why I like 2 kick a lot. So 2 kick, it either works for you or it doesn't, because other characters can mash throw or just mash in general. But you know, condition them, have yo-yos out, make them afraid to press buttons, and then you're in. Also for, I guess, when I'm like hitting people, I like to, so a lot of other bridges don't like doing it. They prefer to just get the knockdown and do yo-yo set. I like to do 2D, so I'll knock them down and then I'll OTG them. So the reason I OTG them is I want them to tech. And usually people mash to tech in this game, right? So by doing that, they have to make a decision. If like the moment they realize like what I'm doing, they have to make the decision. It's like, do I just stay on the floor or do I air tech? I mean, and for me, I just prepare for both situations. Well, not prepare, I just react to whatever they do. And preferably I want them to air tech, because when they air tech, they're airborne. So that means if they want to defend against me, they have to spend meter to like block a 6 kick, a 6 slash, or in this case, they try to get out, but I'll just throw them back into the corner, because Bridget's air throw is very, very good.
Let's talk about Bridget's Oki. So, I feel like we maybe touched on this a little bit in the pressure and mix up, but let's go through this setup. So you knock down, you put a yo-yo up, you call, actually, I feel like we already touched on this a lot. Do you have more you want to add to Oki?
So there's like pretty much plenty of ways you could do it, but usually if yo-yo is not out, you definitely just want to knock them down and just toss a yo-yo. So it could be 6 set, it could be 4 set. People probably would like 4 set a lot, because it's a bit quicker than six set forward set, and it goes towards the floor too. So if you try to roll, you'll roll towards the ground, giving you overhead mix up. But my another thing people like to do for Oki when Yo-Yo's out, they'll like to do punch Roger. They'll like to do punch Roger and probably like try to like air dash over you or something like that, so you won't get a DP or anything of the sort. I usually like just doing Roger Hug though, because it's an active hitbox that homes in on them, and if they block it, I win. If they get hit by it, I win. If it misses, I don't really care because I'll just throw another yo-yo out anyway. So yeah, for me preferably, I like to do Roger Hug a lot for my Oki. But if I get kickstart my heart, definitely I like to do air Roger set. And you could do air Roger set in multiple ways. You could do neutral. You could do neutral set, or you could even do like a diagonal down set. And at that point, I could like empty jump. I could like empty land into throw. I could do a roll. You know, I get quite a bit of options. So that it pays to be offensive.
Does the 4 set go behind them no matter what? I noticed when you did it earlier, you pushed them forward a little bit and it still went behind them.
Yeah, so it's after a certain point, it'll stop. It doesn't go all the way. So like if I'm full screen, for example, it'll stop a little more than half. If you do something like 7 set though, that'll go all the way.
Is that the one that arcs above?
Yeah. And that's the one I like a lot. Just for like in particular, because it sets up unblockable setups as well. Due to the angle, it sets up like the perfect unblockable setup. And even then, it arcs like that, so I could kind of just roll and get higher up than usual. So
gotcha. Okay. Then the hug almost lets you get a second Oki there for free at the end, huh?
Yeah. That's why I love Roger Hug a lot. So it's like you'll get knocked down, do that. They're forced to block it. So, and the moment it's locked onto them, it's like now they actually have to worry about me doing like a Roger move. So that'll, get them to consider different options, and I'm just looking for whatever option they do, and I just react accordingly.
Makes sense. Okay. Seems fairly straightforward. Any other Oki stuff you want to share?
If you get knocked down and you have a meter, just do bear.
Just bear on a bike.
just do bear on a bicycle, straight up. The only like real answer people have to it, if they have meter, is they could dead angle it. But if I'm looking for the dead angle, I just kind of like run into them and I just block it, and then they just die to the bicycle. So it could be a defensive tool for Bridget too, because Bridget is invul during that animation.
Well, funny thing, that's the next section. So do you want to go ahead and talk about its defensive properties, and we'll go in that way?
Bridget, what does Bridget have for defense?
Yeah, let's talk about when Bridget's like in pressure. So let's say you're stuck. We talked about Starship a little bit earlier. Let's touch on that a little more. Because DP, obviously, your best defensive option in most situations.
Yeah, so DP, what makes this move so good, it has an FRC point. That's something you don't really see on DPs at all. And why that's so significant is the fact that Bridget can DP. If you bait it and I whiff, I can just FRC it and I will still make myself safe. If I hit you with it, I can FRC to continue the combo. Starship is like probably one of the best DPs in this game, hands down, because of the FRC point. And then what other stuff does Bridget have? Like Bridget has supers, so it's like also for defense, right? If someone knocks me down and they don't OTG Bridget could do a delayed get up where Bridget will just throw the yo-yo directly above him, and that destroys a lot of people's Oki timing, especially if they are unfamiliar with like how Bridget works. So it's like they'll do their regular Oki, but then Bridget kind of just does delayed get up, so your move misses entirely, and then I get to hit you for free. If yo-yo is out, Bridget has access to me and my killing machine, which is invul as well. You could do loop the loop. This move is invul as well. And people forget about the Big Roger coming at the end. So even if they block the regular loop the loop, they'll probably get hit by this one too, by the Big Roger. So that's also get out. And one of the ones I like, so I talked about it earlier, where I'll do air DP combo ender and then I'll do this super. But you could use this super as a defensive option too, because Bridget gets thrown backwards. So what usually ends up happening, so it's like, even if they hit you, Bridget kind of flew back already and the explosion's there. So if they're within that range, they're going to get hit by the explosions anyway. So yeah, Bridget has quite a number of tools to escape. Bridget could FD roll like that and just go airborne immediately. And when you go airborne and you follow this defense, you pretty much can't get hit by anything unless they like air throw you or whatever. But so yeah, that's like what? That's like Starship, that's roll, flawless defense, loop the loop, super. That's like what, like four or five like defensive options like right there.
It's pretty
Bridget's
nuts.
very, very strong at getting out of pressure.
Yeah, all those defensive options seem completely absurd. Which I feel like that's a really good thing for Bridget, considering does he have the lowest health in the game, or is it just on like the lower end?
So it's not like lowest health. I guess if I were to phrase it, so Bridget is pretty delicate. I like to call it effective health, because so Bridget's lightweight, so that means Bridget is also easier to combo in certain situations. Has no guts, pretty low damage modifier. And what I mean by like effective health is Bridget can't damage race the opponent, so that hurts Bridget even harder, because like every hit I do, I have to like hit you like 3 or 4 times even more. So the moment that's another thing. So Bridget, like defensive play Bridget, right, is they'll take the life lead and they're just gonna run away all day. But it's like, what if you don't have the life advantage, right? And now you don't have to go in, but like as time is ticking down, you at certain, like at some point within the match, you do have to go on the offense, because if they're aware of like what Bridget does, they could just chill. I go back to this character a lot, right? Jam. I go back to this character all the time. If Jam has the life lead, Bridget has to go in, because what Jam will do, if they know how Bridget works, they're just gonna charge cards. It like, let's say we're in this situation, right? Jam has the life lead, and I'm behind. No matter what I do, I can't really touch Jam from this position. So what is Jam gonna do? Jam, and like I throw yo-yo and I'm just kind of like chilling here waiting for an opportunity for like Jam to come in at me, right? Because people want to end matches or whatever. Jam won't do that. Jam will just store cards, and then Jam will have 9 cards, and then the next time I get touched, I get disintegrated. So it's like at certain points, it's like you have to go in and stuff like that. So, and that's what really hurts Bridget, is damage overall at the end of the day, because strong defensive tools, the mobility, it's great, but if they're not budging, it doesn't really like matter too much anymore, and you're just giving them even more bonuses, because I'm staying back and I'm losing meter because of that. So
do you find that you frequently get punished for like attempting to put a yo-yo out at the wrong time? Is that something that comes up a lot?
I think that's probably one thing that a lot of new Bridget players struggle with. So for me, I don't mind if I get punished. I just want the yo-yo out, because I'll just make up for it later on in the match, at least for me, right? But a lot of times people, they'll do like bad yo-yo placements. For example, like let's say you're fighting Kai, you're doing your pressure or whatever, you think they're far enough, and then you like throw out like 6 set, for example, but then Kai, he sees that and he just stun dippers you at the foot. So now you're knocked down, and then then Kai is in. So characters with certain like moves that could move them forward within like set distances, I feel they're pretty good at punishing throwing out the yo-yo, especially like just like Kai, for example. Kai, like Soul could like Grand Viper you or something like that.
Right.
For like throwing out yo-yo. So it's like, I definitely feel like a lot of newer Bridget players struggle. They struggle in the damage race, and they struggle when like just trying to get the yo-yo out there and trying to make it work. I think that's another thing, because I feel there's a lot of ways you could just kind of just mess up with Bridget strictly from a bad yo-yo placement, because it's like now you have a bad yo-yo placement and you have to go through like a 2-3 step process just to get the yo-yo back. But when you're trying to get the yo-yo back, you're getting hammered by the opponent. You lost access to any meaningful special moves, because like let's say, for example, right, I throw like yo-yos all the way up here and I do punch Roger. It's like he's not really doing anything for me at that point. So it's like I'm not getting any Roger value, and I have to wait for Roger to come back to me before I could set out another yo-yo.
Mahouko, let's say someone came to you tomorrow and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about playing Bridget, but I'm kind of on the fence about it. What would you tell them to push them over the fence? Why should someone play this character?
This character, Bridget, I feel is the most expressive character in this game. And what I mean by that is you could play this character in so many different ways. And I think that's also the issue with this character, is people don't know how they want to play with Bridget. But the moment they get back past that hurdle, this character really does become a representation of you as like an individual player, which is what I love about this character. It's like this player, he specifically likes to do these setups in these situations, or this is their general game plan, right? So if like you see like a Testament, it's like they all play. I already know what every single one of them are gonna do. They have a pretty set formula, right? Or like Amelia player, like, oh, they're just here to get the knockdown, and they're just gonna throw a tandem and just rinse and repeat whatever 50-50 mix up they have and stuff like that, right? But Bridget, it's like, you've seen it. If you look at my play and then you'll look at like 3 other Bridget's play, it's like we all play distinctly. I can't speak, but we play way different than each other. And I think that's like what's the coolest part about this character, is a lot of freedom of expression with Bridget.
I love that answer. That's awesome. Do you have a saucy combo to show us out with today?
Let's see. So I like to do this on tall characters a lot.
Yeah. A little reset in the middle there.
Yeah, so it's like you do explosion, it knocks them down, and so that was 2 unblockable setups in the same situation, like in a sequence.
Jeez.
And I love doing this on tall characters, and that's another reason I love 2 kick. If like when players do 2P, they'll never get that setup. You actually can't get that setup with 2P. You have to do 2 kick, because you have to be close enough to what do you call it? So when the yo-yo recalls, you have to be close enough. So when you jump up, this move, jump 2S, hits the tall character. But if you do 2P, you're not going to be close enough for that. So yeah, that's why I love doing this character. It's a meterless unblockable setup.
That's so sick. Where can people find you, man? Are you on Twitch? Are you on YouTube? I know you got a Twitter. If someone wants to watch some gameplay, where should they be looking?
So I usually don't netplay too much anymore, but I do have my Twitter, which should be at Mahouko, Mahouko, and on my Twitch channel, it's same thing except for there's 08 at the end. If there's an event, you'll usually see me play, or like in majors and stuff like that. So you could always look up my name on YouTube. If you're interested in watching Bridget, you could always do that too. So
okay, we'll put those links in the description below. And that's all I got for you, man. Thanks for coming by today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you.